Welcome to the Own Your Best Life podcast. I'm May Emson, your host, leadership and mindset coach. Here, we talk all things spiritual, mindset, business, leadership, and wellness for the modern seeker who wants to align their life with purpose and inspiration. We'll cover career changes, stress management, meditation, energy, intuition, and more. Each episode holds spiritual and practical tools to help you live a life of your wildest dreams without getting burnt out along the way. Ready to live a life on your own terms? This is the Own Your Best Life podcast. Welcome, friends, to episode number 247 of the Own Your Best Life podcast. I want to talk about the dream so many of us have had at one point or another. The dream of having so much money that you do not have to work, where you could quit, walk away from all of it, and finally do what you want to do. No more worrying about whether a risk is too risky. No guilt about whether you are carrying all of the weight for your family if you decide to do something different, and just enough freedom that the pressure lifts and the choice feels like ours to do whatever it is that we want to do. And you might have felt the pull of that feeling of quitting when you're in the car before you walk into the office in the mornings, or at 9 p.m. when you're answering just one more message that you did not want to answer. And if you could just get out, you could finally breathe. You could finally find yourself again, your creative pursuits, your hobbies, the time for yourself. And the reason this dream actually comes up is because we have been conditioned to believe that our lives are so precarious that any change is a life or death decision, instead of just a natural evolution of where we are and what we need now. But to understand what you actually want next, you have to understand why you want to quit in the first place, or why change scares you even after you have already left, or why you want something more, something even different than where you are today, even when things are pretty good. Because this feeling, the pull to quit, is often bigger than your job, and it's bigger than a money conversation. It is you wanting out of whatever stuck situation you are in right now. And after working with and talking to so many people on this exact topic, I started to see that there are three places, figuratively, that people find themselves in. And I call them the three boats. The first boat is the burning boat. You need to get off, something has to change, and you know it in your body. The second boat is the one where you are already off. You might have left. Maybe you were pushed off the boat and you are now in the water. Sometimes you feel like you're treading water, looking for the next boat, worried that you're going to get on the wrong one. Third boat is that you are on the boat. It is fine. You don't want to burn it all down. You don't want to torch it. You just want it to be better. You want it to be faster, more fun, and feeling like it is your boat. And it helps to see all three of these because people are spread across all of them. Depending on where you are in your lifetime and where you are in your work cycle, you could be on one boat or another. And some of you are on that first boat and you are getting ready to get off. Plenty of you are already in the water between things, figuring out what is next. And just as many of you are on this third boat that's basically good, and you just want to make it better. And I work with women in all three. There's no wrong one to be in, worse one to be in, but there is knowing which is your boat. So you can make the right next move from there. And I want to go deeper than which boat you are on into the feeling underneath it. What I've come to understand about that dream of enough money to walk away is that money was never really the point. The dream was never actually about just that number in the bank account. It was about what we believe that money would finally give us. It will give you the permission to stop, to just rest, to breathe, to not worry, to try not to get everything right and feel like you have way too much to do. The sense that work is finally no longer running your whole life. And when you feel that pull to quit, what you're usually feeling is trapped. Somewhere along the way, you have lost parts of yourself. You do not always recognize this woman or person that is living this life now, and you have decided the only way to find this person again is to get free, to actually quit, make that clean break, to go looking for yourself somewhere your old life cannot follow. And I understand this completely because I've lived it twice. I remember I felt trapped and stuck in my first role right when I decided we were having kids, and I knew this thing wasn't going to last forever. We all know conceptually that jobs don't last forever. But when we're in that cycle of demands, work, next thing, pile up, next demand, next project, it feels hard to find what's that right time to make that move. And I had just had a new kid, a new child, a baby. So I made a break. I took a new role, more local, home at night, and eventually I even took a pay cut. And I thought all of that was just buying my freedom and my way back to myself. And I realized I was still trapped because eventually I started working constantly again, still saying yes to everything, roles that might be the burnout role, things that I knew were pushing my boundaries, but I had no idea how and what my boundaries even were. And I was still nowhere closer to feeling like this was really me in my life doing my best work, because I took that cage of being stuck with me, and that clean break didn't free me. And the reason is because the trap was never the job. The real cost to myself was not even at work, it was everywhere else. Because when work takes that much of you, it doesn't just take your hours, it takes your mind share, it takes what people think you are even available for. They don't even reach out to talk to you, to share their concerns. It takes the part of you that used to think and have capacity for your own life. And I noticed it in small ways at first. I started giving my husband more say, even on things I actually saw differently, because getting into it creates friction, and I didn't want to stir it all up, and I didn't have the energy or the skills at home to get to that root of what was really keeping us from operating as a true team at that time. And so I would concede, not because he was right, I was wrong, or vice versa, but because it felt easier than the harder conversations. And the part that I have to think about even now is this: I was doing that harder work at the office, in my work, that very patient, root level, get to the heart of it work. I was giving all of it to the organization, to the colleagues, to the things that I was working on. And I was giving the best of me to work. And only what was left over to myself and to my family. And I didn't even realize that I was doing it, right? It's like that performance you put on, and then you finally come home and you're like, I don't have to perform here. And in reality, we're not even in the right space of mind to realize that that performance at work comes at a cost to us at home. And so the real reason you're feeling the urge to quit is because there is already this feeling of change being underway. And you know there's something coming, some version of you in your future that you're not setting yourself up for. You can even sense that thing you could be doing right now to get ahead of it, but you're so busy that it never gets done. And after enough of that feeling of stuckness, you start to believe that the only way you will ever get to your own life is to just stop working entirely. And that's the fantasy we have, not because we're lazy or we don't love our work in some capacity, but because our life has been piling up undone. And whether it's our relationships or our health or our creativity or things that we've also wanted to pursue, unfulfilled dreams, quitting looks like the only door to get back into this part of our life. And that is what that clean break is really trying to fix. And it cannot fix this because I know, and I've seen it happen again and again, I would have carried that same pattern to every new place. many of you have felt this before and have carried it forward. You are the ones building this cage. And for a long time, I thought, like many of you, okay, I get it. Just don't want anything. That's the answer. Want less. Get off the hamster wheel. Be happy with what I had. Lessen the things that I want to have. But it's not just that. You're a high achiever because you have high standards, not just of other people, of yourself, your life. And that comes from a good place. This competition, this desire to win, this desire is really you wanting to make the most of your time here, to not waste the one life you have. So if you try to take that drive away, that energy doesn't disappear. It just has nowhere to go, and it will find itself somewhere else. You will pour into things that you do not need to be getting into places it does not belong, into control, worry, perfectionism. It will overexpose you and create liabilities in your life. And the answer then is, okay, fine. Okay, I can't just want less. The answer is understanding why you are achieving, what it is for, and how to do it without costing you something you're not willing to give. That is the freedom you're actually looking for, not freedom from your career, freedom from ambition, work, drive. The freedom to do your work without slowly losing yourself inside of it. The freedom to keep playing and winning and staying in this game while you are connected to your own ideas, your own judgments, your discernment, your own sense of what is right, even when it is not what everyone else in the room is thinking. And that kind of freedom where you have life and you're in life, but you're not consumed by life and not consumed by work, is not just on this other side of resignation letter. You build it inside the life you already have because it is giving everything you need now to figure this out. You build it by changing how you achieve from a feeling of I'm just surviving to how do I thrive? By learning that no can be a complete sentence, by protecting your energy and building your success formula because it matters, by letting yourself be seen for the work you already do instead of disappearing into it and doing more and more and more. Here is what happens when you do all of that. That part of you that was curious and interested and engaged at one point in time, that part that was not yet jaded comes back online. You find your way back to the kind of creativity that comes from being in a zone of creation, where you're not just executing other people's ideas, looking just forward to the day you retire. That burnout gets managed, it gets cleared, and you remember who you are. That energy starts to run through you again, and you feel like you are back. And this crisis is what so many of us are actually facing. A whole generation of high achievers that are coming back to themselves after years of shape-shifting and contorting to prove that we had what it took and that we could build lives. And that space to remember who you are and what you need can feel impossible to find when you have kids and bills and the full weight of all of the daily life demands. So you decide you either have to quit or you have to keep this part of you hidden a while longer because there are bills to pay. But that is not the choice. This raw, curious, alive part of you can come back online now, long before you finish your career. It will not be a quit now or wait until retirement choice. It is available to you right where you are. And the other reason you want to quit is that you have a hard time believing this is even possible where you are, that you could have the level that you are capable of, the life you actually want, in the same place where you are at the same time. And a big part of you that cannot believe this is because you look up that ladder and you do not see anyone you want to become. You see the titles that you would take in a heartbeat, but they come attached to a life you do not want. And you cannot find a single person above you who has both the level you are capable of, the kind of work that would be interesting to do, and the life you refuse to give up. So you start to believe the freedom that I want is just not available here, and the only way to get it is to leave. But I want to offer you this. The reason you cannot find that person above you is because she is the person you are becoming. You are the leader you have been looking for, the way you want to work, being ambitious and excellent, and also present for the moments that matter. That is not you being difficult or wanting special treatment. That is the way we need more leaders to work. You are not the problem with the culture. You are the correction. Allow yourself to be an outlier in the best of ways. And you help create that culture, not by fighting it, but living your life out loud. I know a lot of you would rather not fight and create tension and conflict. And the good news is it isn't about fighting. It was never about that. It is about sharing. It is about showing up more boldly. It is doing your work, your way, letting yourself be seen doing it, and making a path that the women behind you can finally find a person, an example, a role model for, and they can look up and see you. And you also need to know when it is time to leave the job, because sometimes it is. Some of you do not need to leave, and some of you do need to leave. And if that is you, it is a good and brave thing to do, and I will help you do it well and do it on purpose instead of in a panic. I do not have a preconceived answer everyone must follow. I'm not going to tell you that leaving is brave or that staying is smart. That is not my job. My job is to help you make decisions, to choose from freedom instead of desperation. And that choice becomes yours, and it's a skill and a decision-making skill that will serve you for decades to come. I do not want you to quit just to feel free and find yourself only to discover that trapped feeling packed its bags, came with you, because I've done that and I would like to save you that trip. So this week, before you reach for the exit, ask yourself this one question: do I want out of the job, or have I just lost the thread of why I'm doing it, and leaving feels like the only way to find myself again? Because if it is the second one, there is another door, and it is a lot closer than you think. This is exactly the work I do with women right now. The doors to Spiritual Achiever Coaching are open. If you're standing at this decision, you cannot tell whether you want a new job, you just want to feel like yourself again, that is not a sign that you are behind. Most women in this spot can see this problem clearly. They know exactly what is wrong. What they do not have yet is the way through. And that's not a personal failing. It's just a part of you cannot always find on your own. It's a sign that you deserve a real conversation with someone who has helped a lot of other people make this exact call. So let's have that conversation. Book a call with me and we will look at where you actually are and what your real next step is. You can book a call at www.mayemson.com/contact. You do not have to blow up your life to come back to yourself. You are the leader that you've been looking for, so let's find your door. Thanks so much for joining us this week on Own Your Best Life. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts so that you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, can you please rate and review on iTunes? I would so appreciate it. Share it with a friend, take a screenshot of it, and tag @MayEmson. This helps continue to get the word out. For more show notes and resources, check out www.mayemson.com. You'll have all the links to everything you heard here today. Thanks so much for listening. It's time to own your best life.